Hello everybody, welcome back to my movie review series. Today we'll be discussing The Rookie. It's the 2002 movie, Dennis Quaid. You know how we do it. I'll read you the logistics and overview of the movie as provided by Google with just some background facts. After that I'll give you my overall impressions and grade. If you have not seen the movie and would like to, based on my recommendation, you're going to want to shut off the video because there will be spoiler alerts. So it says The Rookie, rated G for everyone. I think it's the first G movie we've done. Released in 2002. It's a sport drama movie, 2 hour and 8 minute runtime. You can watch it for free on Tubi. That's where I watched it. It says a true story about a coach who discovers that it's never too late for dreams to come true. Jim Morris, played by Dennis Quaid, never made it out of the minor leagues before his shoulder injury ended his pitching career 12 years ago. Now a married with children high school chemistry teacher and baseball coach in Texas, Jim's team makes a deal with him. If they win district championship, Jim will try out for a major league organization. Budget of $24 million, did $80.7 million at the box office. There's a couple, again, this is from 2002, a couple of the actors I definitely recognized from things that have come out more recently, but it was interesting to see just some of these older actors that I can't recognize exactly which movie. But I've definitely seen Chad Lindbergh's before. Definitely see the Rudy Bonilla character, Rick Gonzalez. But it was just interesting to see some of the actors. So it says 79% of Google liked it, 6.9 out of 10 on IMDb, nice, 84% on Rotten Tomatoes, and 72% on Metacritic. Google says why to watch, it's inspiring, exciting, and emotional. So overall, yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Again, anything with any sort of historical backing gets bolstered and buoyed a little higher on the grading scale. I thought it's a touching movie, it's good for the whole family. I don't even like sports, but it's just someone accomplishing their dreams. I don't know, it's well done production for me in terms of like the cinematography, the production, the sounds, the acting, the casting, and the added backstory as being real. I'm gonna go ahead and give it an A-. Definitely recommend if you haven't seen this one. Again, a little bit of an older one, but a lot of people have seen it, but it was free on Tubi, so I watched it again. So if you have not seen it and would like to, I definitely recommend it. And regardless, if you don't want to hear the spoilers, you want to shut off the video now. So the video opens up, and you have some like local story in Texas about two nuns getting some investment money to like buy some land or something, and they were going to buy some land, but they couldn't, and so in their spare time they played baseball or something. So there you get some background story about just a local legend or a local story from this place in Texas. And so that's just kind of how the movie opens up. Then you meet Jimmy Morris as a child. He is the son of Jim Morris Sr. and Lori Morris is his wife. I couldn't recognize the mom character from the cast list. Just look for an older lady. Can't find one, so yeah, I don't know. But regardless, they start off in, I don't know, Virginia, and then they have to move to Florida. His dad's a recruiter in the Navy or in the Air Force or one of the military branches. So he's getting relocated a bunch. He's always practicing baseball. He's out in the rain. He's out in the snow. When he's throwing the ball and his friend's hand's too cold, he wants to wait for spring, and Jimmy wants to practice ball. And so he's always, imagining himself being a pitcher in the major leagues. And so, I don't know, you see young Jimmy Morris for about 10-15 minutes opening in the movie, and then you have fast forward 30 years or whatever until he's about 40. And he's now married to Lori Morris. He's got a son, Hunter Morris, and a baby daughter. And he's, again, the chemistry teacher as well as a baseball coach. And so you have a couple scenes of him teaching in school, and then you have him, running baseball practice. And so they're doing baseball practice. And after practice one day, the catcher was like, "Hey, coach, throw a couple." And so he throws some. He's like, "No, really pitch like you can." And so he throws them hard, and the catcher's just like, "Wow, wow, wow." And so he asks him, "How fast were you throwing in your prime?" And he's like, 85, 86. And so that kind of happens. The next day they have practice again. You have a bunch of different teammates, minor characters. Whack is one, just nickname. Rudy, Joe, Brooks, Brooks is later on, Joel, and then it's a high school baseball team. And I guess one minor thing before they go to old Jimmy Morris is when he first gets to Texas, when they move to Texas, he goes in and meets just 3 locals that are business owners that become, friends or, lifelong friends. And he's looking for baseball socks, and they don't have much baseball equipment in the town. And so he's sad that there's no baseball in Texas. And so fast forward, now he's brought at least some influence to having baseball in this. It's like Westlake maybe, but somewhere in Texas. And so, the next day of practice, Whack is talking smack, and the catcher's like, bring the heat. And so he throws a couple hard, fast pitches, and then they're all stunned, and then those are always fun scenes. The shocker, the person's not gonna be able to do this, and he does it really well, and everyone's like, whoa. Those are always fun scenes in movies. But that happens, and he's like, I'm not here to practice pitching, but here to practice batting. And so they run a couple more practices. They're disappointed that their field is not growing any grass. The 3 friends from the initial meeting when he first moved there as a child, one runs a barber shop. And it's like, I can get grass in that field by springtime if you keep it off there for 2 weeks or something. And basically they just spread human hair to deter the deer that are eating the grass seed. That's why the grass is not growing. And so they get a baseball field. They practice in some, just like a crummy, like a warehouse lot kind of place. It's not gravel, but it's not dirt. It's just industrial type of park while the field's getting redone. And also I guess some minor scenes of Jimmy having kind of a stressed relationship with his father as a youngster and as an adult. But basically they start playing some games and they lose their first game or whatever, and then Jimmy's trying to hype him up we gotta do better, and they're like, we can't, if you actually want us to get better at hitting, you actually have to pitch like a real pitcher. And so he agrees to do that, and they make an agreement. If they win, if they start winning, more specifically if they win the district, Jimmy has to actually try out for a major league team. So they make that agreement. Then you have 15 minutes of them playing different games, winning, posting news clip articles about their team, on a win streak. And so they end up get to the districts, the 10-minute scene. They win the district game. And after that, they're all in the locker room celebrating, and they all one by one go through, and it's like, it's your turn, coach, it's your turn, coach. And so you have another scene where he's taking down the newspaper clips about the streak, and brief clip there, you see that they won the districts but lost the state game 4-2, I think. But regardless, it says, it's your turn, coach. He's got to go try out now. And so Lori Morris is out of the house for one day. Now Jimmy has 3 children, two an infant daughter, a very young daughter, and Hunter Morris is, 8 or 9. And so they all pack up and have to drive about 100 miles somewhere to go to this tryout. And so Jimmy's in line to sign in, and he sees a recruiter that he knew back in his prime. And the recruiter's like, are you here? Did you bring some players? And he's like, nope, you're here for me. And he's like, you're right. And so regardless, he waits around most of the day, doesn't get a chance to pitch. He's getting ready to go home when he gets the call in to come throw some fastballs. And so I guess even before this, there's a meaningful scene where he's driving one night down a country road back to his house. And he drives past the speed limit sign, and he stops and throws the ball and it registers. He's like, this thing can work. We'll see how fast I can throw. And so then he throws one hard, and it says 76, and he's like, okay, that's not even close to good enough. And then as he's walking past to go pick up the balls, the lights flicker, and he's really throwing 96. And so he's at this tryout. He throws 20 pitches. It's a fast forward scene, or just ball after ball after ball. And so he throws his pitches, and then he's cleaning up a diaper from his baby daughter. And then the lead recruiter comes over and is like, hey, Jim, do you know how fast you were throwing? And he was like, nah. And the recruiter's like, how fast were you throwing in your heyday? He's like, 85, 86. And he was like, you were just throwing 97 to 98 miles an hour, 12 pitches in a row. So now he's just like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And then they get in the car and go home. And the recruiter's like, you might get a call on this. And so Lori Morris now gets home, and they're still traveling back from the tryouts, and she hears all of these recruiters on the answering machine. And so Jimmy gets back, he's pretty excited. He does kind of stop by his father's house, and the father says something like, which is a line that gets used later on, it's like, I don't know, there's a line in the movie where it's like, if you're doing something, there's a time when you got to do what you got to do, or you got to know what you got to do, or something. Basically, move on from your dreams and make a practical living for your family. And so the father says that. Jimmy's upset that his father wasn't excited for him. And when he gets home, Lori Morris is kind of on the same page as his father, so he's disappointed that he's not getting supported on the home front. They just have a little tiff there, and then they're pretty much on the same page after that. He's sitting outside, and she comes outside, and she was like, you should do this. We have an 8-year-old boy inside, and if you give up on your dreams, what does that teach him? And so he decides that he's going to give it a shot. So, you have a couple scenes. He starts out in the AA. I don't know the hierarchy of minor league baseball, but he's not making very much money. Bills are piling up at home. He throws a couple, there's a bad pitch on the very first one, but then does decent. So you have a couple different fast forward scenes. He's on the road for about 3 months with these minor leagues teams. That's when you meet Brooks. Brooks goes 4 for 5 one day, and they're interviewing Jimmy because of an age, and it's a story. And so one day, Brooks and another baseball player and Jimmy are getting beers and some food after the game, and they're all like, Brooks is like, if you were this funny all the time, people want to be, revealing that people talk behind his back, and I guess there's some jealousy, thinking that he took somebody's spot or whatever. And so that happens. He has a scene where he's on the phone helping Hunter with his math problem, and he gets some pushback from Brooks. And this is pretty early on in their relationship, not going in order of the scenes, but he was helping Hunter with his math problem over the phone, and Brooks was like, hurry up, this is the only long-distance phone we have. But regardless, that was just a minor scene. So they play 3 months, and Jimmy is pretty friendly with the general manager of the minor league team, and he's like, he's on the road, and he's like, he also got a good job offer from a school in Fort Worth. So, there's kind of some pressure just to go accept a job, which again, how does anybody get a job? How does anyone get an interview? I've submitted 50 plus applications now, and I couldn't get an interview for anything, just anything. So how anyone gets a job in this world, I have absolutely no understanding. But regardless, after playing for some time, he's like, I should just pack it up, and, he uses the same line that his dad used on him again, and, he talks with Lori over the phone, and she was like, if you've accepted the job that starts in 2 weeks, just pitch for 2 more weeks and see what happens. So he sees his own interview on the TV, and he's like inspired to keep going. Next scene is him slapping, or just walking past Brooks, smiling and saying, "We get to play some baseball today." And so shortly after that, the manager that he's friendly with calls him in, and he's like, the Tampa Bay Devil Rays are calling up Brooks. I know you guys are close. I thought it'd be cool if you could be the one to tell him. And so Jimmy's like, yep. And then the general manager's like, I didn't say you weren't going to. And so now he gets real excited. Pretty emotional scene, fun scene. But he calls Lori, obviously excited, and tells him that he's now going to be pitching in the major leagues. And he tells Hunter, and they're all excited. And so the Tampa Bay Devil Rays are on the road in Texas, and they're going to play the Texas Rangers. So his first kind of game is going to be back at where his hometown is. And so I don't know if that's actually true, but regardless, that's what happens in the movie. And so, all of the baseball team, they hang up a bunch of posters and, around town, just getting the community excited about the local person doing something big. And so he goes there, he shows up to the field, sees his wife and kids for the first time in a long time. He's very excited to see them. All of his players are at the game. And then, about the 6th inning, 7th inning comes around or whatever. And, he gets told to warm up. He's all excited. And then he gets the phone call, and he's now in the game. So he gets to run out onto the field from the bullpen. And manager's like, we need three fastballs or 3 strikes. And so he goes 1, 2, 3, strikes him out, and is very excited at his MLB debut. And so after the game, He's bombarded by reporters. Then he sees his dad in the background, and always trying to like obtain his father's acceptance or approval or whatever. And so it kind of goes over to him, the kind of like a reconciliation moment, and then he gives his father the game ball for memorabilia. And so that's what happens there. Then he meets his wife again, and then they go out to just like to the parking lot, and the whole hometown is just cheering him on, going crazy. And so that's what happens. And then the movie wraps up pretty quickly after that. You get he pitches in the major leagues for 2 years, and then he still lives in Texas. So just kind of one final credit scene, and then you have the two nuns about the beginning story, which I can't remember very well, is referenced again at the very end. So overall, again, I probably missed some scenes, but 2 hours and 7-minute runtime. That was entertaining, wholesome for the whole family, touching, inspiring. Similar movies, probably the Kurt Warner movie that we've already reviewed. I forget what that was called. In major themes, sports. I don't care. Again, sports are actively off-putting to me, but as cinema, just an inspirational story with actual historical background is fun. I've never sought my parents' approval for anything. I just need some money so I can get away from the most toxic relationships ever. But that's never going to happen because there's no laws, and the gang members at the FBI, the CIA, any of these organizations will threaten me if I try to collect my property or ask for a time frame to manage my money. So to see, like in this movie, like when the crowd rallies behind somebody doing something good, it's like I offered a local police chief that I know $10 million to do his job, and they just ignore me. They just act like I don't exist. And then so it's like people are going to publish my paper and then start talking to me. It's just fraud. It's just fraud, and it will be prosecuted. Don't say my name. Don't acknowledge that I exist. Please give me a time frame to which I can pay my bills to some extent, which I can clear $3,000 a month comfortably and regularly. I am just done with everything. Because this whole world has been absolutely fucking terrible to me. I've been scapegoated and I've been blamed for everything. And then I get denigrated, disrespected, and torn down every 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 months, and it hasn't stopped not 1 minute of one day of my entire life. So just to see, like, again, a community rally around somebody or like stand up or support them is just like, no, America's a free-for-all of the most selfish, pathetic people that have ever existed. And nobody gives a fuck because everyone's completely incompetent and pathetic. And then once you offend them, they just shut down and blame you and project any insecurity they can onto your life. Same problem every single day. It will never change. The maturity of the species is about 7%. It'll take about 1,000 years to go to about 8%. Because we just play games and come all day. We don't raise our children to have any sort of values. So I definitely recommend this movie, but I'm so sick of doing these things. Not because I'm tired of making content or don't like watching movies. It's because nobody watches them. And I have had, this is now my elapse going into 5. I have timestamped videos on my channel at 5 years old now. So definitely well into my 6th year of YouTubing. Yeah, right. But the reality is that I am a scapegoat. My rights are being violated. I'm from a community that has done that instinctually their entire lives, and now they're so pathetic that they can't acknowledge they've done that, so they continue to torture me. And so it's never going to change. If I ever become somebody, treason must be met with capital punishment, and fraud, racketeering, and conspiracy from Christine Bertoni to the president of any country doing this, suppressing science, fraud, death in jail. Life in jail. So keep killing kids, keep lying about science, keep stealing my property, keep destroying my life, keep destroying society, keep not growing up, keep being pathetic. That's what you guys do best. I hope you enjoyed another movie review. I'll see you on the next one if there is one.